Welcome back to our channel, Soap fans. Days of Our Lives Goings and Comings just revealed some massive stuff. And it looks like we have the potential for 4 huge stars returning to Salem. We are talking about EJ's daughter, Sydney. We are talking about Bo and Hope's son. We are talking about a new Butler, maybe? No, wait, the actor's last name is Butler. And even the massive possibility that Bo and Hope themselves are finally coming back to Salem. But let's start with the biggest and most confusing piece of news. The newest addition to Days of Our Lives is actually a totally familiar face. And that face belongs to Brandon Butler. So the new faces just keep coming to Salem lately. First we had Sydney Malakeh in a totally mystery role. Then we got 2 new faces playing Chad and Abigail's kids, Thomas and Charlotte. And then we got the news about Brittany Sarpy from General Hospital and The Young and the Restless joining the cast. But now Days of Our Lives has officially introduced us to Brandon Butler, and he is going to play a brand new Salemite named Mason Whitfield. But here's the thing. That name is literally all the information we have about the character. We just know he is going to show up on the show on Tuesday, September 1. But we actually already know quite a bit about Brandon Butler himself, because the newbie just shared 5 fun facts about himself in a new Instagram video on the official Days of Our Lives account. He told us how he grew up just outside of Chicago in Frankfort, Illinois. And he loved competitive sports from a very young age. He played baseball and basketball for his school and for travel teams. But he also always loved acting, and he was doing commercial work and print ads and theater locally in Chicago. And if you think Butler looks a little bit familiar, you are not crazy. Maybe you saw him back in the day in a McDonald's DOOL Masters Happy Meal commercial. Or maybe you recognize him from the massive Netflix hit series 13 Reasons Why. He played Scott Reed on that show. He was also in Trinkets and Hysteria and SEAL Team. But guess what? You probably recognize Butler because you have literally already seen him in Salem. And you saw him right inside the Brady pub. Well, technically, I guess you saw him inside Bo Brady's mind, because this young actor actually played the adult spirit version of Bo and Hope's son, Zack Brady. This happened back in the 2nd of June 2025 episode. Bo was in a deep coma. He was fighting for his life after getting that critical dose of the Versavix drug from the late John Black. And while the comatose man was struggling to return to the land of the living, he had these wild visions, and Brandon Butler showed up as Zack, and he actually got to spend time with the whole family in that vision. Bo was standing in the Brady pub in his dream, and Hope was there yelling at him, and Sean and Ciara were there, and Zack was just standing there wearing a pub apron and watching it all happen. He helped push his dad to wake up and return to his family, and this was just such a massive emotional moment for longtime fans, because we all remember the tragic history of Zack Brady. He died as a little kid back in 2006 after a horrific hit-and-run accident involving Chelsea Brady. It was one of the most painful storylines the Brady family ever went through. So seeing Zack as an adult, even just as a spirit, was a huge deal. But now it looks like Butler is playing a completely different character, which is probably a good thing since Zack is definitely not alive. But it turns out this new role of Mason Whitfield is not Butler's only connection to Salem, because on a much more personal level, Butler shared his 5th fun fact in that Instagram video, and it was a real tearjerker. He shared that Days of Our Lives was actually his late mother's absolute favorite show. He said at the end of the reel, "This one's for you, Mom. Love you." And that is just so sweet. It makes you really root for the guy. Welcome to Salem, Brandon Butler. And welcome Mason Whitfield. Luckily, we do not have to wait very long to find out more about who this guy is and what his business is in town. But this casting choice really gets the brain working, because if Days is bringing back the actor who played Zack Brady, even as a new character, it really makes you wonder about Bo and Hope. Are Bo and Hope coming back to Salem? We really think they are going to return soon. Peter Reckel and Christian Alfonso are soap royalty. We saw them in the Beyond Salem spinoff, and it just wasn't enough. We need them back on the main show. And bringing back the actor who played their son just feels like a weird coincidence if they aren't planning some kind of Brady family reunion. Maybe Mason Whitfield will cross paths with them. Or maybe the writers are just reminding us of the Bo and Hope legacy before they make a grand entrance. The fans have been begging for Bo and Hope to come back full time, and this little casting Easter egg just adds fuel to the fire. And speaking of new faces and returning legacies, we have to talk about Sydney Malakeh. She is debuting on September 9, and the show has been so secretive about who she is playing. They just posted a video of her walking around the set and said, "Who is Sydney Malakeh?" Find out September 9. But the rumor mill is in overdrive. And the strongest theory out there is that she is playing a recast of EJ DiMera and Sami Brady's daughter, Sydney DiMera. And this makes total sense because EJ is currently spiraling out of control. He has been doing all this monstrous stuff with DiMera Pharmaceuticals. He covered up the tainted Coraceal drug crisis. He planted pills on Holly Jonas. He is turning into his father, Stefano. And Susan Banks even came back to warn him, but he won't listen. So who better to come back to Salem and shake up EJ's world than his beloved daughter, Sydney? We haven't seen Sydney as a regular presence on the canvas since 2021. And bringing her back now as a young adult would cause so much drama, especially because Kristen DiMera is plotting against EJ. Kristen could totally use Sydney as a pawn in her war against her brother. And let's not forget the history there. Sydney was kidnapped by Nicole Walker as a baby. She has been through so much DiMera trauma already. So Sydney Malakeh playing Sydney DiMera is the perfect fit. But wait, there is more casting news. We also have Brittany Sarpy joining the show. And if you watch other soaps, you definitely know who she is. She played Valerie Spencer on General Hospital starting back in 2015. And then she went over to The Young and the Restless and played Dr. Elena Dawson. She hasn't been on Y&R since late 2024, so fans have been missing her. And now she is checking into Salem. The show posted a picture of her outside dressing room 26 at the Burbank Studios. And Sal Stowers, who plays Lonnie Price Grant, commented on the post because they are besties in real life. Sal was so excited. And the crazy thing is, Brittany Sarpy actually screen tested for Days of Our Lives like a decade ago. She auditioned for the roles of Taylor Dubois and Jordan Ashford on GH, but she also tried out for Days. So this is a huge full circle moment for her career. But because Days taped so far in advance, we probably won't see her on screen until mid-2027, which is just wild to think about. But who is she going to play? Is she a new character? Is she a recast? Some fans think she might be a recast for Jada Hunter since Elia Cantu just wrapped up her 4-year run on the show. But we will have to wait and see. And we cannot forget about the kids. The soap is aging up the younger generation again. We just got Alexander Elijah Bond and Autumn Gendron taking over the roles of Thomas and Charlotte DiMera. Chad DiMera's kids are growing up fast, and they are already heavily involved in the drama. Chad just came back to town with them, and he is dealing with all this tension with Kat Green. Kat pretended to be their dead mother, Abigail, and that caused massive trauma for Thomas. So seeing these new slightly older actors step into the roles is going to change the dynamic. Chad is trying to move on. He is going on dates with Belle Black, but the ghost of Abigail and the manipulation of Cat Green are still hanging over that family. So Salem is really going through a massive transition right now. We have all these new actors coming in. We have legacy characters being mentioned and hinted at. We have Brandon Butler stepping into a brand new role after making us all cry as Zack Brady. We have Sydney Malakeh keeping us guessing. We have Brittany Sarpy preparing to make a splash next year. And we have the constant hope that Bo and Hope will finally ride their motorcycle back into the town square and save the day. And honestly, the show needs this kind of fresh energy because the storylines right now are so dark. We have Chanel dealing with breast cancer while pregnant. We have Lexi Carver dying all over again because Dr. Rolf's resurrection drug is failing. We have Stephanie pulling a gun on Joy Wesley because of her untreated PTSD. We have EJ acting like a total monster. So bringing in some new blood like Mason Whitfield might just be the distraction Salem needs. But what is Mason going to do? Is he going to be a love interest for someone? Maybe he will cross paths with Ariana Horton or Holly Jonas now that they are in college. Or maybe he has some secret connection to the DiMera family. You know, nobody ever just moves to Salem because the rent is cheap. Everyone has a secret agenda. Everyone is connected to someone else. And with Brandon Butler's acting chops, he is definitely going to get a meaty storyline. And I just keep thinking about that connection to his mom. It really adds so much soul to his casting. To know that he is walking the same sets and acting on the same show that his mother loved so much, it is beautiful. And the fans are definitely going to embrace him for that. Even if Mason Whitfield turns out to be a total villain, we are going to love him because of Brandon Butler. So get ready, soap fans. September is going to be a huge month for Days of Our Lives. We have Mason Whitfield debuting on September 1. We have Sydney Malakeh debuting on September 9. We have the ongoing fallout of the July and August sweeps. We have the mystery of Stefano's chess set. We have the Alemania hostage crisis. It is just non-stop action, and we will be here to break it all down for you every single step of the way. So keep watching, keep guessing, and keep hoping that Bo and Hope are just around the corner.